Question and answer 2023 edition. Of all the covers you've played, which is your favourite and which took longest to record? So, I don't let myself take any more than 3 takes, because if it's not going to happen in 3 takes, it's probably not going to happen that day. So 3 is the maximum. Usually I get it first time. I get it well enough first time. Favourite, I'm going to say Corridors of Time. With such a wide range of influences, what is it about Xena that drew your attention? Okay, so this is definitely a question I had before and I don't know exactly what I answered 12 years ago. I think I'm going to say today it's campy, it's rubbish, it's self-aware. I think that is its strongest suit. It knows that it's trash, but I also think that the LGBT representation that was pretty overt for the 90s, not so much now. But if you think about it, for 1996, 97, it was pretty out there. I think that was the most important thing about that show. Do you ever get tired of fans objectifying you? Interesting question. So it really depends what platform it's on and whether it's appropriate and whether I've invited it or not. If I don't mind being objectified if I'm getting paid for it, but I don't like it if I don't consent to it and I'm also not getting any money for it, basically. How long does it take you to learn a song just by listening to it? It is usually within the 5 to 10 minute time period, and then I can just play it back. How many people ask you to marry them? Ratio of boys to girls. I feel like this is a thing that happened far more 12 years ago. It was far more a thing in the YouTube comment section. Now people tend to be a bit more polite. I mean, it'll always be sort of 9 to 1, boys to girls, but marriage proposals are not so much a thing now with the community I have cultivated on Twitch. Favorite modern and or classical composers? Chopin, king of the piano. Richard Strauss, king of romanticism. Modern, I guess modern could encapsulate film, anime, video game composers. So let's go with Yasunori Mitsuda under the modern umbrella. How did you meet Zorzi? I don't remember. I think it was either through the internet or probably through an in-person piano concert, because he does live here in Sydney at the moment. And then I think I hit him up, said, do you want to come to my house, play some duets? And that's what you would have seen here at this piano, banging on pots and pans, but I'm actually not sure. The details are hazy. What's your favourite classical piece? I probably answered this one the same. I really like Beethoven's Emperor Concerto. It's probably the same response. What sort of piece do you find yourself drawn to as a performer? Firstly, something that can be played solo piano. So a nice lyrical melody line helps. Something which I can arpeggiate, the bass hand. What else? I guess something where interpretation of it is quite open. You can add things and take away things and take it in a different direction, if you like. Something with a little bit of freedom. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? I don't know, I'm going to make it up. 144 miles per hour. There you go. Which video game was the one that sparked your love of video game music? Probably just Super Mario 3, because it was the very first one I ever played, and that was when I started figuring out how to play game music on the piano by ear. I wouldn't necessarily say that that one has got the best music in the world or whatever, but that was the one that started it, so there's the answer. What's your favourite Pokemon and why? Gengar, because he's really cute, but Gengar has got mind control powers. Surely that is the most powerful power of all. It's so much better than something elemental like lightning or water or whatever power. This guy can hypnotize you, control your mind. How tall are you? I am 5'7", so a bit above average for a lady. Is violin your main instrument? No, I'm the world's okayest violinist. I'm very okay. It's my hobby instrument. Never really made money from it or taken it seriously. But it was the thing that I sort of got more famous for on the internet at first, which is wild, but piano is my main instrument. Did you take lessons? Yes, of course. I was classically trained, did the Yamaha method. I took lessons from, let's say, age 5 up until age mid-20s. So about 20 years worth of both private and group piano lessons. What sports do you like? I like sports where you can hit people, contact sports. I played netball a bit as a kid. I did swimming. Individual sports are fine, but they're not as fun. I like team sports where you can hit people. So like water polo and roller derby, those sorts of things. Why do you choose to play geeky video game music? Oh, I don't think that was a conscious choice that I made. I think it's just because I like it. It's not, I wouldn't even call it unique these days, but I find it incredibly interesting. It's sort of a mixing pot of a lot of different styles, and it's sort of, you can't even say video game music is a genre. It's not. It's like, it's so broad. You can't even really say film music is a genre. I think because it encompasses so much. There's my garbled answer for that question. What is it like to see colors when you hear music? I feel like that is a whole separate video that I could possibly do. So I'm going to skim over that question by just saying it's normal. It's all I've ever known. And it's also a mental, I guess, cross-wiring that shouldn't really happen. What is your favorite game console? I'm going to surprise myself here and say the Switch. I'm not going to let nostalgia rule and say the NES or the Super Nintendo, whatever. I'm going to say the Nintendo Switch. That answer's probably different. Switch didn't exist when I did my last Q&A. So, if you were offered a music contract that would keep you comfortable forever, would you sell out? I mean, yes. What does selling out mean though? Like, does selling out mean that you perform music that you don't particularly like for money? Or because that's fine. Does selling out mean that you go against your morals and your values? That's a little more of a grey zone. That depends on your definition of selling out. People on YouTube 12 years ago would say that performing music that has widespread appeal that is not your usual music would be selling out. So perhaps posting covers of pop or posting clickbait titles and thumbnails. I don't regard that as selling out. That is just doing what you need to do to gain some level of visibility. What would be your dream piano to own? A white Stewart & Sons. It's an Australian brand. Have you been to the US? What did you like? Places? I've been all over the US. A lot of roller coaster tours brought me to, I've been Midwest, I've been East Coast, I've been West Coast. I probably don't want to go back there anytime soon with what is happening politically. I don't think I could choose one state or one place or one site. That's kind of like when people ask about Australia. What should I do in Australia? My God, it's so big, it's so diverse. It really depends what you like to do, what sort of climate you like, what sort of outdoor person you are, if you're an outdoor person at all. So diversity. Video Games Live, they often bring a YouTuber to the show. Would you like to be part of it? Yeah, I'd be part of literally any video game. It doesn't have to be Video Games Live. Literally any concert, show, video game showcase of music, I would absolutely do that. Do you listen to music to chill out? Yes, usually easy listening, like pop stuff with 4 chords. It doesn't need to be too complex. I mean, yeah, I'll listen to Taylor Swift to chill out. And that's fine. It doesn't always have to be intellectual or challenging music. Where am I up to? What celebrity would you like to meet? Piano celebrity would you like to meet? Are you a fan of Kyle Landry? Yeah, me and Kyle are good friends, so It's always funny when people are like, oh my God, do you admire him? Do you want to meet him? Do you want his autograph? We are very close friends and we have a laugh about this sort of stuff. He's just a person like me. Are you a natural blonde? Yes, but I sometimes do highlight and particularly tone. Toning is important because toning is what gets your hair either as a sort of goldy orange tone to a more ashy grey tone, and anywhere in that spectrum. Do you actually play the games you play the songs of? Maybe 30 or 40%. Not every single game, because I play on my Twitch shows so much music. I couldn't possibly have played every game that I perform the music from, and I think that's fine. Career music, could you tell us about it? That's a generic question, but I think there are so many options now to make a career out of music. Back in 2000 and whatever, your two options were, well, an orchestra, Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and failing that, because the people in that orchestra don't give up those positions unless they die, failing that, you'll become a teacher. So that was pretty much your choice. Working musician in an orchestra or teacher. But there's so many more options available now. You can literally make your own career as a content creator, or specifically a music content creator. And that sort of thing was only just starting to exist when I did YouTube 13 years ago, and it certainly didn't exist in like the year 2000. So I think in terms of career music, there will be opportunities that we can't conceive of yet because they don't exist. But they will. What's your favourite 90s TV show? Absolutely, Xena Warrior Princess. We've chatted about that before. What were your school grades like? I was definitely a straight A or high distinction or whatever grading system person. Just who I am. What is your most beloved thing on earth? Thing. I don't think I can answer that, because I don't think I really care about things, like items that are not alive, all that much. So there's my answer. What annoys you? Poor respiratory hygiene. People who are coughing and sneezing and all over the place out in public. And I feel like that's a pretty timely thing to be annoyed about, considering the pandemic. But actually, I think my answer would have been similar 13 years ago. Tell us about yourself unrelated to music or video games. Well, that's probably too long of a question to answer, because music and video games is only about 5% of who I am. If you want to know who I am, may I suggest my Twitter is the best place to follow me, to get to know the real me. Let's just say I am politically loud, but you know what? Some of it's not even politics. I really dislike when people are like, oh, women's rights. I'm like, that shouldn't even be political. Human rights shouldn't really be political, but there's a whole lot more to me than just music. But often when you make people aware that there's a whole lot more to you than just music, they're like, no, shut up, be quiet, just play the piano, no one wants to hear what you have to say. So maybe go and look at some of my other platforms apart from YouTube if you want to know who I really am. What platform would you suggest is the best place to focus your energy for someone starting out who's determined to make it as an influencer or creator? I would say YouTube, and that's not just because I'm posting this video to YouTube. YouTube, because you need to build a following and or community first before you think about doing anything else. And I think YouTube is the biggest player in terms of platform. I'm not saying that you shouldn't also build on Instagram and TikTok and any other platform, but if I had to choose just one, I'd go with YouTube first. And then once you have that following, then you can think of taking it to other platforms, like live streaming platforms like Twitch or whatever. What would you say is the biggest challenge for someone who transitions from classical pianist to streamer musician, and what were your coping strategies? So classical pianist, there's this thing where you expect people to be quiet and be silent and not talk over you when you're playing and be, I guess, show reverence for the art of music. And also, if you're a classical pianist, the picture is that people are with you in this concert hall and they've bought tickets and they have an attention span of more than 2.5 seconds. So streaming musician, it's a bit different. You are, I guess, competing for people's getting shorter attention spans. And also you can't just play. You need to be able to interact with people as well. So you need to be fine with alerts and sounds and conversations, completely steamrolling your performance, because that is the whole gig. What are the challenges? You need to be able to know how to make short form and long form content. It's not good enough just to play a really impressive performance. No one cares. You need to be personable. That is a big, long question, but there are so many more skills you need as a streamer and content creation pianist than just a classical music pianist. What is a piece of advice you would give young Lara if you could do this all over again? No, nothing, because that's the butterfly effect, and then something would have turned out differently. So I don't want to give her any advice that would mean anything turned out differently. All I would say is that the job you're going to have doesn't exist yet, so don't worry about it. Do you think you've become a better piano player through performing on Twitch and being exposed to different kinds of music? Yes and no. The yes is because, well, I have to learn so many different pieces of music every week really quickly. So it's kind of like fast fashion. You are learning and churning out a song in 5 to 10 minutes. And the no comes about because I don't have the luxury of time and attention span to be able to. I used to work on 4 pieces, maybe 5 per year, and you perfect those and you get your technique up to do those. I can't do that. Who would be interested in me playing 4 pieces in a year and perfecting those? That doesn't work. So that's a yes and no question. What are your top 3 roller coasters? Millennium Force. Okay, Magnum XL is not a good roller coaster, but it is there for nostalgia reasons. That was the roller coaster back in 1993. I said, I will ride you someday. I will get to Ohio and ride you someday. It's not the best ride in the world, but that's my nostalgia one. And my third one, it's also not the best ride in the world. It's insane though. Age and Acre at Fuji Q Highland. It's one of only 2 they call it 4-dimensional roller coasters in the world. The other one is at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I think they upgraded it from X to X2. But I'm going to put those 3 with a disclaimer that only Millennium Force is actually in the top 3. The other 2 are there for different reasons. Out of all the ridiculously silly place names in Australia, which is your favourite? I like the ones with like double letters. Like Woolloomooloo is really stupid because there's 8 O's in it. Then there's just weird stuff like Oodnadatta. I like all the vowels that we use. What do you consider your hardest live learn? No particular one, but I'm guessing it's always going to be an anime song full of secondary dominants. I am getting better at them because I'm starting to figure out more quickly the harmonic language, and it does actually become quite predictable, but it's always going to be an anime song. This question's confusing. What do you think Lara from 10 years ago would think of Lara from the present if she could see you? And what do you think about Lara 10 years into the future? These hurt my brain. I don't know what I'm going to be doing at 50. I don't even want to think about that. I think Lara from 10 years ago would be pretty chuffed that I finally managed to make it as a musician, as a full-time musician. I was doing music work before, of course, but I was also supplementing it with like retail work. So I think she would be very proud that I've actually managed to go full-time as a musician, but I think that's secondary to, I think she would be very happy that I stand up for people and causes even when it is going to hurt me or when it's going to lose me money or lose me viewers or lose me community or whatever. I think that's actually the most important thing. Using your, I hate the word, fame, using your influence or whatever to stand up and put your neck out and make people feel safe. I think that's the most important thing. So those are my questions. I think half of them I answered 12 years ago, and the second half were new questions that I got from my community just recently. So I hope you enjoyed that.